You've made it so far, and you're now discovering your final truth about who God is. No matter what challenges you face in your lives, this truth will comfort you along your journey.
God is always in control. But if you take a look at Job's life, you wouldn't think so. Job had everything a guy could ask for: a wife, kids, lots of friends, plenty of money, and tons of sheep, oxen, and camels. Job was living the good life. But most of all, Job loved God and followed his rules. One day, God and Satan had a meeting. God said, "Look at Job. There is no one on earth like him. He is a good, faithful man. He loves me and does what's right." Satan told God, "The only reason that Job acts this way is because he's got it all. If you hadn't blessed him with all that stuff, he wouldn't want anything to do with you." God told Satan that wasn't true, and he could test Job and see. That's when things got a little crazy. One by one, Job's servants came to him to report some very bad news. All of his animals had been stolen or killed, and some of his servants had even been murdered. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, they did. Right after Job heard about his animals and servants, another servant had some terrible news. All of his children, 10 of them to be exact, were having a meal together when a great wind came and killed everyone. Job couldn't believe what he had heard. He was so sad that he tore off his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground and he cried out to God, but it wasn't what you think he would say. He said, "God gives and he takes away. Blessed be the name of God." Instead of being mad at God, he praised him. Job knew that God was still in control even when things looked bad. It didn't stop there though. Satan told God that even though Job had praised God when everything was taken away, he certainly wouldn't if he felt sick. Satan tried to prove once more that he was right by putting painful boils all over Job, from his head to his feet. Job sat in a pile of ashes, feeling so much pain, but he still didn't talk bad about God. Job's wife thought this was ridiculous. Maybe God wasn't in control after all. She took one look at him and said, "You should just curse God and die." Job told his wife that he would never do that. Then Job's friends came to see him. He looked so bad that they didn't even recognize him. They didn't know what to do, so for 7 days they sat with Job and didn't say a word because he was in so much pain. Then Job started talking, saying that he wished he was never born and that he had had enough and wanted to die. 3 of Job's friends didn't help the situation either. They said that he must have done something terrible because bad things just kept happening. When Job told them that he had done nothing wrong, they told him, "You are probably just too proud to admit it." That's when another friend couldn't take it anymore. Here was Job wishing he had never been born and complaining, and then his friends kept blaming him. He said to Job, "Who are you to question if God is in control? This wasn't right." Suddenly a voice came out of the wind. It was God talking. He said, "Who is asking if I am in control? I have wisdom that you cannot understand." Job got the message. He realized that he was wrong and that God was in control, no matter what was happening in his life. Then he prayed to God. After that, God blessed Job and gave him double what he had before. Like Job, there will be times in our lives when things are going great or when nothing seems to be going right. Maybe it's something awesome like getting a new iPhone, or maybe you lose something that you've worked so hard for. Whatever it is going on in your life, good or bad, you can always remember that God is in control.